new patch, new character, so you know what that means. It's time to see where they've landed on the tier list. And this one's an important one because we got kind of like another weapon situation on our hands here, but it might not be as big of a problem as you might think. We're also going to be going over the different teams that she's best with. Also, we kind of predict that Ayuno is going to be her like secondary best, but she hasn't come out yet. We also want to go over some of the resonance chains for her this time around, because I think that might be important too, because if you have been around a long time and you have one of these older weapons that are broad blades, you might not necessarily need her broad blade. You might be able to go for a resonance chain if you're interested in that type of thing here. So let's go ahead and get into this thing. All right, so let's just get this out of the way right out of the gate here. Augusta is insanely strong. Okay, look at her. She's like busted in like every single thing here. Every single thing you could possibly put her in. You know, give her weapon, busted. Put her in Wuthering Waves, super duper strong. Give her weapon, and it doesn't really change her placement anywhere. It just solidifies the fact that her weapon is also very strong, like a lot of these other characters that get massive power spikes for their weapon. And I mean, if you take a look at their words here, she's looking to be quite a strong carry for veterans and new players alike. And I didn't mention this earlier yet, that premium or free-to-play teams will be very, very strong with her. Even if you don't have her weapon, she's performing basically as good as all of the other tier 0 DPSs. Now, I've been seeing the term power creep thrown around a lot with this particular character. It kind of feels weird when there's like 4 characters in tier 0, so I don't really feel like this game suffers from power creep. But what I think people are trying to say is that maybe this is power creep potentially for the Electro slot. But we haven't had a lot of strong Electro characters for the DPS slot in the game. We had Zheng Li Yao, who was given to us for free in 1.2, if I recall correctly. And then we had Kuro in, 1.0, and he's a standard banner character. So when you look at the Electro slot, yeah, we haven't really had a single premium that you actually had to pull for if you've been playing since like 1.0, for example. Now, again, I don't feel like the game really suffers from power creep itself, other than the weapon power creep. Like the weapons have been getting just stronger and stronger and more niche in the game. That's a thing, I guess you could say. But as far as maybe the Electro slot, sure, go ahead and call it that if you want. I totally get that. She's the closest thing to power creep that we really have that's new, that's coming out right now. So if you want to go ahead and run with that, do what you will. Now, personally, I don't really feel like it's that big of a problem, considering she's the first premium that she would have had to pull for the Electro slot since Zheng Li Yao, who was given to us for free technically. So I don't feel like this is that big of an issue. I want to point out that yes, Mortefi is a strong unit to use with Augusta, so Mortefi stay winning out here. But we didn't see any changes to the list. It might just be because this is like day 1 of her being here. Yinlin can also buff her Electro damage, so it's not as good as Mortefi being able to buff the heavy attack damage for Augusta, at least right now. But Yinlin might come up. We'll consider that, right? We'll see that happening maybe potentially, just because Augusta's so strong right now. And she does technically work with her and is a good option. Not as good as Mortefi and not as good as Ayuno will be, though. All right, now let's go ahead and get into the weapon situation here. But real quick, before we get into the weapon situation too deep, I wanted to point out that you may not necessarily need the weapon, and you may potentially even want to go for a resonance chain if you were trying to invest into the character. If you're like myself, you've been around since 1.0, you have Jian, you have his weapon, you see this is a pretty good weapon for her at 120% compared to the baseline, which is Lustrous Razor at 100%, right? So I would only be able to get like, 8.3% more off of getting her weapon in this situation if I was using Verdant Summer, right? So when you think about it, if I look at the resonance chain here, it's not like the craziest resonance chain at resonance chain 1, but that is 18% more that I'd be able to get in my situation rather than just 8. Now, if you don't have one of these other signature weapons, right, and you only have Lustrous Razor, then obviously getting her weapon is huge for you because it's a massive 28.3%, okay? So on paper, of course, by the way, on paper, these are just like calculations and stuff like that, right? Your play style and a lot of other things are going to factor into that, so these numbers aren't going to be perfect for you exactly, right? But it also gets you a stepping stone closer to her Resonance Chain 2 if you were to ever go for that. And look at that. Oh my gosh, right? 154.5, basically. 155 is pretty much what you're looking at here. That's pretty darn good, okay? All right, now that's a bit of whale talk. Let's actually talk about this weapon here, okay? It increases the attack by 12%, and casting an intro skill or resonance skill increases the heavy attack damage by 20% for 15 seconds. Obtaining a shield allows heavy attack damage to ignore 7.2% of the target's defense for 7 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. This effect can be triggered once every half a second, and this would equate to 36% defense ignore if it's fully stacked up, which is not that hard to do if you keep her on field and stay active, right? It also gives you a base crit rate of 12.2%, it says here on Pridewind, but I think we need to double check that one, because the graphic that they showed in the promo said 1%, and I don't remember what it says in the game, so we'll have to check the in-game. I'll probably pop that on screen later. The attack is 675, which is insane. I don't think we've ever seen an attack stat like that on a weapon before yet in the entire game. This is a massive, massive, massive number, and she really, really likes having a lot of attack. Now, I want to point out that the other S-rank weapons all have very similar conditions to her signature, so they all would work with her. Every single Broadblade from a premium character would have worked with her, right? Lustrous Razor is our baseline. The Battle Pass weapons do work with her. The new one, you can't even take the rank 5 yet, though, so don't use that one, honestly. The old one's okay, but it's not even as good as Lustrous Razor, so you might as well just use that. Lupa's is okay, right? It's a notable amount more. It's not crazy though. But if you have Jinxies, I think you're probably okay. I don't think you need to worry about this weapon, right? And definitely if you have Gion's weapon, you really don't even need to worry about her signature, especially because if you look at this here, the builds that you have wouldn't even really change, right? You don't get crit rate off of his signature, so you get crit damage, so you'd probably use a crit rate body in a lot of cases, and you don't get a ton of crit rate from her signature either, so you might still be using a crit rate body here too. So considering all of these things, I think that yeah, if you don't have anything and you don't want to go for a resonance chain, I think this is a great weapon to go for, especially if you don't have a solid Broadblade on your account yet. This thing is huge. If you already have a pretty decent Broadblade, you don't really need this though, and you could probably go for, let's say, a resonance chain or something if you wanted to invest. Obviously, if you're free to play, you don't really have to worry about it. Lustrous Razor is probably okay. This character's cracked as it is. Now, teams, thankfully, is very, very easy, and it doesn't actually hurt free to play at all, because her best current team right now uses a free-to-play character, right? And you could even use Verena, so this is very, very free-to-play friendly. She is incredibly free-to-play friendly, especially if you've been around since 1.0. You probably have a Yinlin, so you are probably ready to go. You don't have anything really other to do than just build the character itself and farm out her relics or something like that, right? Now, we do suspect that Ayuno will be become the next best character for her and create the next best team when she comes out. So what is that, 3 weeks from now, you'll be probably able to get her next best team. But considering that at a free-to-play level, she's already performing as well as the other tier zeros around her with Mortophy, essentially, that's pretty crazy, bro. So this is a pretty strong character and very, very free-to-play friendly. Even though she's limited on teams, it's not really a problem because everyone pretty much has access to this. All right, now as far as building her is concerned, she came out with a new set. Use the new set. It's her best set. It's notably better than the old better set to use on her. Now, you can obviously use the Void Thunder set. It's the recommended 2-piece to use with the new set. These new sets have lower requirements for the pieces, so we are able to combo them with other sets now, which is pretty cool. Now moving on, let's go ahead and talk about the actual costs. Now, for cost, you have to run 4-3-3 with her, or 1-1 with her, because she's a brand new set. It kind of locks you in now, right? So crit damage if you can, otherwise crit rate. Make sure you have enough crit rate though, or your crits don't matter. Now we're gonna go Electro if we can, because she does get a lot, especially if you have her signature weapon. She gets a ton of attack off that, so you don't really need it. But on one of these, if you run attack, it's probably fine. And then attack on the one cost, of course. For substats, energy, regen, ensure you have enough, and then crit rate, crit damage, attack, heavy attack damage, because she's a Broadblade user, right? All Broadblade users want heavy attack damage, right? Damage percent, attack, resonance, skill damage. And then you have a skill priority list, starting from the most important at the top, going down, res lib, forte, basic attack, res skill, and then intro skill. And then here are also some parameters you could look for when building. Obviously, these are just recommended numbers that you could go for. And then here is a rotation, basically just a core rotation you can roll for. Obviously, you could, roll your own custom rotation if you wanted to. This is just one that they showed here for your day one. Now, real quick, you already heard me yap a little bit about some of the lower resonance chain values and combining them with her weapon and all that jazz, etc., etc. But you can briefly see here, or you can obviously come to their website if you felt so inclined. The link will be in the description if you wanted to take a look at how strong, how much power basically she can get out of her resonance chains here. And you see this is an 11.17 second rotation that they are using here against a one target scenario. And oh my god, her S6 is crazy. What the heck is that? Okay. She does a woo. Whoa. Okay, Cardathea what? Dude, at S4. Okay, maybe Augusta's okay. So yeah, Augusta's cracked. Absolutely insane. And we think that, by the way, with 4-star support, competing with these other tier 0s that have 5-star support and have everything going for them right now, and we think Ayuno's gonna come out and only make her even better. Okay, and having her the signature added into the mix doesn't change anything for her as of now. So she's doing pretty good, right? Anyways, you guys like this kind of stuff? Consider leaving a like and subscribe. Let me know if you're pulling Augusta or not, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.